Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session that deals with the stages of grief and processing loss, not for a bereavement, but for the end of a valued relationship. And sometimes relationships that were great for a very long time come to an end, and it can feel like grief because you're grieving the loss of what was, the loss of what could be. Things are different from that point on. It can have a ripple effect in many different areas. And this is really what this session is all about. One of the things that can happen, and if you think about the first two stages of the grief process, one is denial and the second is bargaining or negotiation. So what can happen if a relationship, let's say, comes to an end, then the instinct is to protect what was there in the past, not what is there in the current, in the present moment. So that kind of denial of this can't be happening, the shock, the disbelief, can lead to this kind of desire to fight, to compromise. And depending on what's happened to cause the end of a relationship or to affect the relationship, that may work. And you may be able to kind of, let's say, in the analogy used in this hypnosis session, something striking a ship, almost think of the Titanic and an iceberg. And if it's a small damage, could be repaired and the ship can keep on sailing. And maybe the boat is wiser and the captain of the boat is wiser for the near miss. But if it isn't a near miss and it actually is some catastrophic damage, then the negotiating thought process can lead people to try and stay attached to something that is now damaged, rotten, toxic, rather than allowing that relationship as it was to end with the possibility of building a new one, either with the same person or with someone else. And that's really the essence of that, because the one thing that is not helpful is to try and control a relationship that, let's say, trust has been broken, where there is this dynamic of there is someone has to be apologetic all the time, someone else is playing the role of the parole officer, the police warden, that's trying to make a damaged ship continue sailing. So this has a different perspective on things, which is more, I think, pragmatic to the dynamics of the client that I was working with. This metaphor won't fit everyone's experience, and it doesn't have to. If you're listening to this, where it would be useful is if you've been in a relationship and knowing what you now know, that relationship is no longer desirable as it was. You can't get back to where it was because something has irretrievably changed that. And that's why this metaphor might be helpful for those situations. If there is a end of a relationship and the situation are different, scroll through my other episodes. I've done quite a few on end of relationships, people still being maybe in love with an ex-partner, whatever it might be, lots of different things. This is more about grieving the loss of a relationship that is no longer viable. If you're struggling with any kind of issues and you think hypnosis may help, there will be a link in the show notes to schedule a free 30-minute consultation call to explore working with me. But you might find, depending on your circumstances, if you are grieving the end of a relationship, this session might be helpful. In which case, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and just experience this session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of worry, stress, or tension to feel like, breath by breath, the tension is leaving your body. And as you breathe in, you're breathing in a wonderful feeling of resourcefulness and relaxation. Breathing in the relaxation and exhaling tension. I want you to scan your body for any feelings of stress or tension, perhaps anxiety or uncertainty. Maybe it's a muscle that's tense, or a feeling of movement inside your body. A twisting gut, a head that feels like it's spinning. Scan your body for whatever you feel. And as you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to imagine that your body knows how to find balance. I want you to imagine that you can imagine a gyroscope spinning on a table, and it's perfectly stationary, in perfect equilibrium. But if you were to knock that gyroscope temporarily, it would look entirely out of control, but only for a short period of time. Because once it finds a new point of being stationary once more, it will recalibrate, rebalance, and return to that perfect equilibrium it experienced before. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to imagine seeing a teenager embark on a voyage across the ocean. I want you to imagine this is a very long journey across multiple oceans, and see this teenager on her way to becoming a woman, accompanied by someone. I want you to imagine perhaps an old cruise ship, or perhaps a traditional boat with sails, leaves the port and starts navigating the ocean. Be an observer on the boat, as perhaps you see someone looking like you, maybe in the early stages of a long relationship. See how you looked, facial expressions, the dynamic, the energy. And as the boat travels along the ocean waves, I want you to see that in many ways, the relationship mirrors the journey on the oceans. Sometimes the sea is calm, and sometimes there were stormy periods. But throughout that period, there was a feeling of trust and connection. I want you to imagine that this journey on the oceans lasted decades. Be the observer as you see these two people on deck, growing older, growing wiser. And I want you to imagine, after many decades, perhaps there is an iceberg, something unexpected that couldn't be seen, that after many, many years strikes the boat. I want you to get a sense that the ship is damaged. And to begin with, the journey continues, but the boat isn't the same boat as it was before. The iceberg created a huge hole in the side of the boat. The boat was no longer the boat that it was. And rather than have the boat sink, the captain of the ship finds a nearby island. I want you to imagine being at your age now, leaving that boat. And maybe you leave the big boat for a smaller boat, and you arrive on the island. And as you look back and see the damage on the boat, you imagine what it would take to try and keep that boat afloat. Maybe it would never go on the waves in the same way it did before. And I wonder how you would feel as you look at the boat if you were willing to acknowledge that the journey lasted a long time, with many special and many happy moments. But this boat and this journey has come to an end. Feeling safe and solid on firm ground on the new island, I want you to see the boat slowly start to sink. And as you watch the boat sink, different emotions may come to mind. Maybe there's the thought that this can't be happening. All you've known is this long boat journey for such a long time. This boat could never sink. This boat was meant to be impenetrable, solid, meant to last forever. And maybe the thought that this can't be happening changes. Frantically thinking solutions, maybe the boat can be repaired. Maybe there's a way to get it floating again. As your mind goes through all of the bargaining and negotiating with what could be or should be, what rules the boat would have to abide by to take to the waters again, you acknowledge the futility. You can't make the boat be the same boat it was before it hit the iceberg. Breathe in and breathe out there on that island. And maybe your mind goes to different emotions. Anger. How dare the boat sink? That iceberg should never have been there. This isn't right. This isn't fair. You've been on the boat too long for the boat to sink, to be damaged. Through the denial, the anger, the bargaining, as you start to see from the safety of the island, the boat start to sink. Maybe there's a feeling of profound sadness. The boat was home for so long, and yet now the boat is sinking. Your mind starts to drift to an idea of different futures. Maybe you're meant to be alone on the island, finding peace and happiness there. Or maybe there's a new boat that you're meant to set sail on. But you realize, intuitively, that the worst thing you can do is to immediately jump onto a brand new boat. That would be not the right thing to do for you right now. The only thing that has changed is a boat that was broken will never set sail again. But maybe the builders of the boat are able to build a better boat than the one before, knowing everything they know about that boat, its strengths, its weaknesses, how it navigated the storms of the seas, how it enjoyed the sunshine on the calm ocean. Maybe a better boat can be built than the one that has sunk. Allow whatever emotions to come up and fade away, just like the waves bobbing up and bobbing down. And once the final part of the boat has submerged beneath the surface of the ocean, maybe you can find it within yourself to come to terms with the reality that the boat as it was will never set sail again. That this acceptance doesn't have to mean that you're okay with losing the boat. You would rather it didn't hit the iceberg. You would rather it's still sailing on the ocean. But you can accept something that isn't desirable. And as you see the boat sink beneath the waves, feel a creeping sense of acceptance and understanding that sometimes boats do sink. But you didn't drown on the boat. You're safe on the new island. And maybe there is an opportunity on this new island to focus on you, to make sense of what has happened and what you want to happen in the future. And I wonder if maybe there is some kind of silver lining to this cloud, that in the book of your life, this chapter is a new chapter, and a new chapter where you get to put yourself first. You get to prioritize your health, mentally, physically, emotionally. Perhaps define within you a new, strong, empowered version of yourself. You are not the victim in this crash. You are not the iceberg, and you are not the boat. You are a passenger happy to be on the journey until being on the journey didn't make sense anymore. So breathe in and breathe out, and be willing to explore the island. And maybe somewhere on this island is a port with a new boat. And maybe the person on the boat is someone you already know. And maybe it's someone brand new. But you're giving yourself the time to explore the island. And whether you choose any boat is a choice. You have all the options and none of the obligations. I want you to see the sun shining over this island. Feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. Breathing in, breathing out. Allowing yourself to let go of any and all emotions that are not serving you right now. It's possible, as many people do, that if they were fleeing the boat, they might take some things with them that in hindsight may have been better left on the boat to sink under the waves with the boat. And if anything comes to mind, anger, frustrations, resentment, ask yourself, does this help you to improve your health, improve your well-being, and to navigate the future that you desire? And with an objective mind, consider that Anything that doesn't serve you, perhaps, can be thrown into the sea or buried in the sand in this island. And you can take as long as you need on this island until the time is right to explore other journeys. Breathe in and breathe out, and feel like you're returning to the present moment with a deep sense that you are partway through a process of arriving at complete acceptance that the boat you knew for so long is irreparably damaged, sinking under the ocean. But it doesn't stop you finding a stronger, better boat. A boat that you can trust will navigate the storms and the waves of the ocean. Breathe in and breathe out, returning to the present. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Get a growing sense that as you return to the present, seeds have been planted in your mind that can enable you to navigate this new chapter in your life. Feeling yourself completely in the present, I will now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling calm, resourceful, ready to make the most of this wonderful new island and this exciting new chapter in your life. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.